everyone wants to hang out with this one kid, and I'm like, I also want to hang out with this one kid, but he wants to hang out with me and not you guys. And so sometimes it's like I just be like, hey, you want to sneak away from the group and go like throw rocks at the I don't know, just like, throw rocks at people's cars. I don't know.
Damn, Sam.
Throw rocks,
you were like
walking
that.
Let's go throw rocks. People walking their dogs.
Oh gosh.
You know,
And I thought I had people in my skeleton.
Sam likes to throw rocks. Is that what you've been using me for? To throw rocks at people's dogs?
Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome to the IIV League Podcast. Sam's going to kick us off with an intro.
Why can't we just play it? Is it podcast? I'm so tired. I'm so hungry. Oh my gosh.
I'm going to be angry at this podcast. That's the thing. God dang. What is this, episode 18? I'm about to, this is, if there's going to be one, if we yell at each other, I think it's going to be this. Give my iPad back immediately. Hey guys, welcome to the IIV League Podcast, where smart people talk about dumb stuff. Today we're talking about how to be a good friend. And I'm almost certain we're gonna yell at each other on this episode. It doesn't matter what day it is. It does not matter what day it is. It's today. We got the little cozy cast vibes going here. My name is Lonnie. Lonnie IIV is what I go by. I might be changing my name. Are you yawning already?
I'm hungry. Don't yell at me.
Suck on an ice cube.
Just a baby.
I'm gonna snap this microphone. Alt Tech Sam starts off the yawn counter when we're like, a minute and like 20 seconds into this one. Lonnie IIV, I have a master's in business administration. I have an undergrad in human factor psychology. None of it could have prepared me for this. Up to you. Go ahead. Don't make me effing tell you to say your minor again either.
Hi, my name is Sam. I have a bachelor's in aerospace engineering and a minor in astronomy and astrophysics.
Thank you. Uh-oh, guys. Cameo from Jennings Brower.
Whoa.
Whoa. Hey, that's America's. We're here at Casa de la Bong filming this one, so.
Casa de la what?
Nothing. Go ahead. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Cindy.
Cool.
Wow. The format is so unbelievably clear. It's so unbelievably
Beautiful.
clear.
Hello, I am Cindy Chen. I am a content creator specializing in avant-garde makeup art, and I have a Bachelor of Art in Communication and Film Studies and a Master of Graphic Design.
Communications.
Shut the fuck up. We're not going through this. We covered this in the last
Every time
episode.
it was like, oh yeah.
Communication and film, double major.
Yeah. Today's episode, we're talking about something that has been requested over on the Instagram and in different places, but how to be a good friend and what that looks like. So we're going to be sharing some stories and tips on these things. And I guess what are you laughing about already?
Yeah,
Why are you laughing?
we just started.
Why are you laughing,
I'm just
Cindy?
excited to be here, guys.
No. You have something to say to the camera. Say it to the camera.
Okay, you want to know what I was
None of us
actually
have
thinking
eaten
about?
yet.
Yeah.
And we're all very hungry.
He got
so.
the hangry Cindy on this
For real.
podcast
Oh, look who! And
episode.
the hangry Lonnie too,
He's
which
like,
is. Go ahead, Cindy.
I just, you know what I was thinking about, like, genuinely?
What?
The fact that you made me tea and it's so far away right now and I want to
Sam,
drink
can you
it.
pass me mine too? Sam?
Which one is it?
Cindy has Charmander.
I do.
Oh, that's hot.
It's because it's a fire type.
Oh, can you not spill the tea on our tag?
Yeah, Sam, don't spill the tea all over
Thank
your
you.
responsibility.
I appreciate
Then
it.
these Air Forces came out of nowhere.
Cindy's. Oh man, we are thriving today.
Are you complaining about my shoes?
No, they
I'll go
just
put my
Hold on,
shoes away
Sam.
right
Pass me
now.
the creamer, please.
Creamer?
Yeah, the creamer for my tea.
Oh.
hungry Sam too.
Jennings tried to pass the
I
creamer.
love how on the screen
Wait.
it just looks like a mystery hand. Like
you
the
open the cap
butler
on
has
it?
brought in the
Thank you.
creamer.
We're very excited to be here. We're very happy that you. Oh, Jesus, gonna spill, bro.
Jennings.
It's gonna
Jennings is
spill.
unhinged.
Jennings is trying to alt text. Jennings is trying to open the cap of creamer while holding it over Sam's head. He gets it done, pulls off the foil piece, screws the top back on precariously while still holding it over Sam. Hands it to me. I pop the cap off. I pour some into my Thai Or my chai tea.
You're
Those days are over.
Oh my god, y'all! I love chai tea with creamer, bro. It's just basically Thai milk tea. Yeah, we're ready now. We're all very hangry, so I don't know what's gonna come out of us.
My
in this
throat
one.
is lubed up for this. Let's go.
Love that for you. Get a little caffeine in us and everything's fine. Oh no, are we addicts?
I'm having herbal tea.
What is when did you first realize that not everybody knows how to be a good friend?
Who are we talking to?
You.
Okay. When did I first realize? When I became friends with Lonnie, I just realized there's a lot to work on. But the important thing is having conversations with thy friend to ensure that your friendship.
What's the most annoying thing I do?
Oh, Sam, go
Don't
first.
get so excited.
How about when Lonnie tells everyone to show up at a certain time, and then he's the only one that's late. Oh wait, how about the fact that he wants to do a podcast episode, and then
She said, more. And then she's getting up on her knees, all like, oh yeah, and then
he doesn't actually schedule it, so he has Sam schedule it on his behalf instead because he's quote unquote bad at scheduling for his own podcast. But you know what? Delegate, bro, delegate.
I asked for it. I think my worst quality, I think my worst trait is that I will ask somebody, hey, tell me this feedback. And as soon as they say it, I'm like, you're wrong. You've never been more wrong in your life. And if you ever say something so wrong again, I don't know. You're probably going to get nuked.
Wow.
It's not bad that I have somebody else schedule. Listen, as friends, you have to be honest with each other. That's the first rule of friendship. Honesty.
True.
And I have to be honest with Cindy and say that maybe I'm smarter than you because I know how to get stuff done still, even though I suck at scheduling. Scheduling is just stressful. It's like a big old commitment project every time somebody wants to do something. And it's like, I asked ChatGPT about this literally this morning. And it said, your problem is FOMO. I'm like, I don't have a fear of missing out. I just don't know what I might do something different.
Sounds like fear of missing out to me.
Sam, what's the most
missing out.
annoying thing I do? You know what? Shut up.
I was like, where do I start?
Go on.
You don't listen.
That's not true.
There's been I can't tell you how many times Lonnie will there's times where I'm telling a story and he's just like on his phone doing something and I'm like, okay, this is already bad enough. There's times where he asks me a question
hide behind me.
and I answer his question and he's on his phone not listening. And then he'll say, hey, and then ask me the question again. I'm like, I just answered it. If you were maybe listening to the question that you asked me, you would have the answer.
It's just that sometimes
Yeah, no, what? Sometimes
Point
what?
number 3, Lonnie also makes a lot of excuses for his behaviors.
That's not true. That's not true. It's just that, wow, this is going to be all about friendship. It's just that sometimes, and I notice I do this, but I just sometimes hope Sam doesn't notice.
For the first year, I didn't. And then I just started getting privy to it. I know if I call Lonnie and if I ask him something and he doesn't respond in 5 seconds, I know he's playing Smash. And I know he's not listening and he's just paying attention to the game.
That's not entirely true. I hear you.
Lonnie also sucks at responding to text messages, so you have to try various mediums, and that last one is literally showing up at his house.
Yeah, you have to, honestly, carrier pigeon. If you don't go through all 17 forms of communication with him, he won't get
Text, voice memo,
call.
call.
Even setting up this podcast. We talked about it in person. Friday at 11? Yeah, sure.
This was supposed to be shot on Sunday or Monday or something like that, and it kept getting pushed back until Friday.
Exactly. But then even I texted him about it too. I thought he had it. I sent him 2 calendar invites. Thought he got it. And then this morning I show up and he's not here.
Because I live and die by my calendar. My brain can hold 2 plus or minus 3 things at a time. Okay? And the biggest monthly expense I have next to rent is literally my assistant who helps me schedule my life and run my calendar. Because I have realized that at this point in my life, I would be living under a bridge if I did not have somebody to help me schedule things. And I have tried for so long. The only way I made it through college was because they give you a schedule. That is how I survived that. So in the real world, I'm like...
So it sounds like I just need to talk to your assistant and not you.
Probably. Honestly, yeah, that's how businesses do it. They're like, we're not talking to you. I say hi, I charm them, and then they're like, so what do we do? I'm like, oh, we talk to her. You gotta talk to her. She has my calendar. That's not me. Honestly, yeah, because if it has to go through me and then to her, chance of it getting done are immediately go from 100 to 50%.
Well, I'd say 100 to about 12.
I was being generous. I'd say 30% to be realistic.
That still might be generous.
And you know what happens in my brain? Do you want to know? Do you guys want to know why you guys are assaulting my way of existence?
You asked for
it.
You literally asked for it.
I'm speaking for a lot of people out there right now in the Ivy League who have a similar experience as me, who feel the same way I do. I'm not alone.
And they're wrong too.
And here's the thing about people like us. Here's the thing about our cause. We've also been watching it. Me and Sam have been watching Attack on Titan, and it's very. Maybe that's why we're all on edge, because we just got to the final season, and we just started it, and it's all very fighty and war driven.
Why is he driving on the left side?
It's in Tokyo.
Is this Tokyo?
Oh my God, you guys,
Shut up,
concentrate.
Sam.
Come back. Come back to this.
Behind the camera, there's a TV screen, and it's just got a video of someone driving through what we think is Tokyo. But
it's how we keep our attention.
I don't think it's Tokyo.
Well, and here's the thing about the way I think. When somebody asks me, do you want to know the process of how it is? What happens? So you asked me, hey, come to this thing on Friday. I am still trying to figure out what I need to do in the next hour. So to think about what Friday is going to look like, how the heck am I supposed to know what Friday is going to look like? How the heck do I know I'm not supposed to be in Jacksonville, Florida on Friday at that moment?
Because you didn't make any plans. You schedule things so that you don't end up in Jacksonville,
But
Florida.
it's on my calendar. It's not in my brain. My brain can't hold. I can't. Having a calendar in my brain feels like trying to build a Lego set in your imagination and remember what it looks like and have it not fall apart when you look at one side. It's like, wait, what would the other side look like? Wait, what would the other side look like? I can't remember what the other side looked like when I look at the other side.
But you don't even need to have the calendar in your brain. You just have it on your phone.
Yeah, but if someone says, hey, can you do this thing on Friday? Tell me yes or no right now. I'm like, I don't know. I need to look at a calendar. And then when I go to look at a calendar, you have to look at a calendar. You don't know what you're doing tomorrow. I'm like, I don't know.
That process of... that took about 4 seconds.
I want to show you guys my calendar as it stands right now. Let me show you my calendar.
Because there's definitely been
Because
times...
I'm not the bad guy.
Yeah, no, he is the bad guy, and I'll tell you why.
I'm the victim.
There's times where we're sitting and we're both looking at each other like this. We have a planned meeting to schedule something. That is the whole point of our time together for that 30 minutes. And I'm like, okay, so we should do this on this time at this day. And he's like, okay, yeah, sounds good. And I'm like, okay. And in my mind, that means that he is acknowledging that. And we are both here for that only one purpose. So if he wants to check his calendar to double check to see if he's open for it, he can. Because that's the only responsibility that he has in that current moment is to schedule this one thing. That is what we're here to do. And so he can do it. But he just sits there.
Well.
Or he goes through Instagram.
That's not entirely true. So here's what happens. I say, if someone wants to schedule something, I say, hey, do me a favor. This is understanding your friends. This is why this matters.
Oh, our delivery guy. Tip him.
The delivery guy just walking into your house. See that big man out there?
What?
I leave the bathroom. He's downstairs.
Oh, that's weird.
He was in here?
I meet him as I'm leaving my studio room, and he walks in our door.
That's
And he
strange.
just goes, hello, here you are.
If you can't hear Jennings, the person delivering our food walked into the home.
Walked into our house.
And Jennings was on
Met him downstairs. That's uncomfortable and odd, and it's not.
Yeah, that's...
It's kind of cool.
Thank you.
Guys, we're about to love each other after we eat.
So, I don't know if we left any of that footage in there of us ravaging the Chick-fil-A, the Bigot chicken meal we just had.
Still having.
Still having, yeah. Sam is actively moaning into the microphone as he devours his his number one Chick-fil-A meal. But I want to actually give you guys some fun stuff about friendship. And honestly, we were saying this while we were eating. I feel so much better already. Never make a decision when you're tired or hungry. Cindy also mentioned nothing. Don't make a decision when you're tired or hungry. Because you just can't think right Like your body does not have the things it needs to make proper decisions when you are tired or hungry. Sometimes it's so crazy when I get upset and then I just take a nap. I'm like, oh, I was just sleepy. Or if I go like a week without getting good sleep, and then I'm like, why am I so sad and frustrated? Guess what? You haven't been getting enough sleep, apparently. So same goes with food. Eat good meal. Eat your vegetables. Rest up. Okay, so back to how to like. People ask like friendship, how to be a good friend. We're going to get more into that, and they obviously roasted me, so I'm sure there's a reason they're still friends with me. I don't really know what that is at this point. Honestly, I'm questioning why, I even
hanging on by a wire.
Why am I even here? I'm the victim here.
Ooh, the food dance is starting.
Cindy's starting her happy food dance. It's like whenever plants photosynthesize, Sandy just kind of eats some food and then wiggles around. Alt tech, Cindy is wearing a what looks like a Da Vinci painting as an outfit. And as a full body outfit, and Tennille is grabbing her purse from the table in front of us, and giggles and skips off. So, without wasting any more of your guys' time, how to be a good friend. You made a video about this, Cindy, actually, about whenever your friends get into relationships, because something we hear a lot is like, yo, my friend got into a relationship. I don't see them as much anymore. What do I do? You have a rule for that.
I love how he like waited until we got quiet to then start talking.
If you couldn't hear, Jennings is off to the side. He was like, "Ooh,
Oh shit!"
Somebody said that Jennings likes to be the center of attention, but then she said that he admitted it's okay. We're back.
We're back.
But
okay.
Cindy, what you were saying. So, the guys, this podcast has been all. Thank you for your patience with us this episode.
Please,
We're getting
thank
into
you.
it. We're getting into it right now. You said you had a tip. I've experienced like friends get into a relationship, they ghost. It's actually been a big piece of like kind of I don't know if I'd say like trauma, but it has definitely shaped the way I interact and navigate like my friends getting into relationships today. Whenever my friends get in a relationship, I have this immediate feeling of like, well, I'll never see you again. How do you navigate that? And how would you recommend people like navigating that if their friends are dealing with a significant other?
That's actually a very good question, and it happens very often. I have a 3-month rule, and that's usually when my friends, especially very close friends, get into serious relationships. I like to give them like 3 months during their first phase of the honeymoon time with their partner to really focus all their attention on them and just be like tunnel vision if they need to. And I don't expect them to really like hang out with me at the same level that they did before they got into the relationship. And then after 3 months, I like to check back in and just be like, hey, like reminder, I really want to hang out with you. And I know you've been spending a lot of time with your significant other, and I totally get that because you're trying to build a really strong foundation. I'm really happy for you. But also not expecting them when they get into a new relationship to like immediately know how to balance things because those emotions are very strong. And they probably, if you know your friend really well, have been struggling to find a very good relationship that's worth keeping. And I think the first 3 months are so important. A lot of relationships actually end after 3 months because like it's so tumultuous in the beginning. Yeah. So it's like, if you want to have the best for your friend, it's up to your friend to kind of make that balance happen. But not everyone is perfect and not everyone knows how to do that properly. So as the friend who is watching my good friend get into a relationship, I like to give them that 3 months just a little grace period, just to be like, hey, focus on what you need to focus. I'm still here. I don't want you to forget about me. I don't think you're going to forget about me because we're good enough friends to know that our friendship's going to last longer than that. But I'm not going to put so much pressure on you to be like, let's hang out every single day, because clearly you have someone new and very valuable in your life. And I want you to be able to have the time to get to know them.
It also helps, like that advice that you gave me has helped me to also manage my expectations too. And like you said, just not be so like, well, why aren't we hanging out? What's the deal? What's going on? What's the deal? What's the deal? What's going on? Because usually after they set up the 3 month period, it's like they're back to kind of chilling at a normal pace, And sometimes you do have to say, hey, look, I'm still here, like you said. But that 3 month period, it does give people time to kind of adjust, figure it out, and it's an appropriate time to be like, I'm here. Like if someone has a newborn baby, and you're like, hey, why don't you want to hang out anymore? It's like they gotta.
What's wrong with them?
Like, do you hate me? You forget about me? Your best friend since high school? You got a newborn baby? You can't talk to me anymore?
You've only known him for what, a week?
Yeah.
You've known me for years.
And this is how you treat me? You can't return my calls anymore? You don't want to do all-night benders anymore? But you got to give people time to, like, adapt And there's like a real period on the side of the person who's dating, like, yo, give me some time and space. We'll get out of this like honeymoon phase where I'm like reacclimating to the rest of my world with this newfound, like, ideally love of my life to build with. But like also on the other side, it can feel really like, oh man, where are they? They're not around anymore. But like, just give people time, and it helps you to like probably find other things to do in the meantime when you know I got to go 3 months at least before like we get back together on a regular basis. You know, that doesn't mean they're not going to message you or you're not going to talk to them, but just kind of.
Yeah, the point is not to like disappear. It's to kind of set your expectations.
Yeah.
Because on the other hand, like when you're the one getting into a relationship, those 3 months are going to pass really quickly.
Yeah.
Because like as an adult, we're like going to work. We also have friends. Sometimes you might have to visit family, and you have maybe pets or whatever, or roommates. You have other responsibilities. And then you throw in a person that it's like, oh, I'm in love with this person.
Yeah.
You're going to want to spend like every second with them, and it's going to be against your instincts to want to do anything else.
Yeah.
And so to balance those emotions is highly difficult, especially when you feel resentment or passive aggression coming from like a friend that should be happy for you for getting to that relationship, right?
Should be.
So, yeah. But at the same time, it is very understandable for the person who is on the side that's seeing your friend get into a relationship feel like you're replaced.
Yeah.
Because all the stuff you used to do with them, you're like, oh, we used to just like chill for like several hours with like no end in sight.
Yeah.
And it's nice having that person there, and it might feel like there's a void when that person's no longer there. But it's not like that's not going to happen again. It's just like right now, all the things that you might have wanted to do with that person, you were doing it with someone else. And so feeling replaced will be like the first thing that will make you build resentment very quickly. And that's something you have to check in with yourself to be like, well, can you do something? Can you check in with other friends? Like, do you have other people in your life that maybe have been reaching out, or you should reach out to them, or you have other hobbies that you want to do by yourself? Like, that's a hard adjustment because it makes you really, like you said, like look at yourself and figure out like, oh, what do I like to do?
Yeah, what am I doing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also I feel like sometimes whenever there's like a friendship or like a duo where like both of them are single, both of them are actively looking for girls, or like partners or whatever, and then one of them gets it, the other one just like feels left in the dust. It's like a double hit, because it's like not only are they losing their best friend, but they also haven't found someone to fill that time with, and they're just like, dang.
That can be very tough.
Yeah.
I think whenever you're navigating that, that's again, like Cindy said, that's whenever you explore your other hobbies and explore your other friend groups, like reinforce those other friends that you have around, whether they be online, whether they be in person, or whether you start finding some other hobbies, because you don't want to just sit there in like an empty space of like resentment, because it's not like there's necessarily anything wrong. It's just like a change, and that change is uncomfortable to navigate the first few times you go through it.
I call it the death of a friendship cycle. And I know it sounds really horrible, but you kind of have to like grieve the type of friendship that you had, because you have to be like, I'm willing to let the way our friendship was go in case this person becomes their forever person.
Yeah.
You can't hold that resentment over them forever, because that's just going to blow
it's
up.
like either we go back to the way things were, or you get rid of them, and it's like, no.
Yeah, it's just like that's like codependency. You know, that's not healthy, because you are a full person, and like your friend might have been there to kind of uplift you and be that person to like make you feel good too, but like if they have someone else, you should still be a whole person. And you also should like be okay with getting into a relationship. If you want a relationship, you should be okay with being alone, and that's not always easy to do.
That's been go ahead. Okay, look, you had the mic real close to your mouth, so I let you
It's always.
He's like,
I cut off Sam a lot.
You do.
You see how much calmer we are now that we've had food?
Yeah.
Yes,
We're like, we're like, Sam, I'm so sorry. I had
so sweet.
Yeah,
No,
so
you.
great. No, you go ahead. You're the light of my life. You're the literal light of my life, bro. But like, I've had to
still
deal
here.
in that. You know, Cindy's a guest, so. I do love, like, me and Cindy, I think we mentioned this last time, we met on the reality show, and it's surprising, like, that whole group has stayed pretty good friends, but it's always surprising to me whenever people come together for like work things. Maybe I guess in like the rest of the world, you come together for work and you make work friends that become real friends. That's how it works, you know. But in like the creator space, it's a lot rare to find like you come together. It's like, ooh, creating or not, we're hanging out. I don't know if you can hear that in the background, but Jennings Laundry is currently fighting.
It's fighting the machine.
Yeah, fighting the washing machine. Yeah. So I hope you can't hear that.
I feel like I'm at a techno concert. Just the boom, 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 boom.
But so when it comes to like the breakups and like you said, that codependency, if you're somebody who has to deal with like who doesn't take change very well, Like I as a kid, I would get so bent out of shape when I had to change schools as a kid. I was like weeping and crying because I'm like, all my friends are at this school. I don't want to change schools. I'm gonna have to go through all this again. And then I wound up changing schools, met some of the best people I ever met in my life. It was a great experience. Like, oh, this isn't so bad. And then like at that new school, the best friends I made like a year later moved away, went to another school. I'm like, this is why this sucks. You can't have anything. Don't get attached to people. And it actually, I think, kind of started making like, not warping, but I didn't fully learn how to like allow change to happen, and like people aren't permanent, and to allow like the shifting of like relationships and times to happen. I think I've gotten better at learning that now. But like that's a very tough thing whenever you have a best friend who's like, oh, and then they're gone. They move away. They're in a different space. And I don't know if this is everybody, but I know the way I get attached to people is very, very like very tightly, you know. And I like that about myself because I really care about people. I really enjoy people. But learning how to be like independent away from that and like, well, who am I? People, nothing, like things will always change, you know. Which I think that was a reality I had to kind of come to sit with, you know. Like in relationships. With people, things will always change. So that means if it's terrible, guess what? It will change. If it's great, it will change. It might get better. It might get worse. But it's like you have what you have now, and whenever it changes, I think the thing to get through change is to be able to like mourn the loss. Because if you have something good and it changes, you do have to mourn the loss, I think, before you can move on to accepting whatever the next piece is.
Yeah, just changing like the dynamic of your relationship or your friendship, but there's like almost like a small mourning period of like, oh damn, like it's not going to be the way that we're used to, but it's going to become better. And I feel like I actually had the very opposite like upbringing than you, because you're like, you had really strong reactions whenever people were like leaving. But I went to international school, so basically with international school it attracts a lot of people who come from families that are tied to embassies and or military. So lots of people, like every summer they just switch schools. So I've had maybe like the whole year building this friendship with this kid, and then at the end of the year the kid's like, oh, we're moving to Japan. And I'm like, oh, okay, bye. And we didn't have, you know, when you're younger, you don't have Facebook, you don't have any type of social media. So it's literally like a goodbye forever. I'm never going to see you again. And I had that since I was like 6 years old.
Dog,
I
would die every year.
But the thing is, you get used to that, and you're used to just being like, this was great. I appreciated the time that we had together. See you later. Like, hope you have a great life. I wonder what's going on in your life, and I'll think of them fondly. But there's no like attachment there to the point where like it's detrimental for my mental health. So that was just like interesting. Even though like for me, you said you switched schools, so that was a whole other shift, which I don't understand, because like I stay in the same school, but lots of kids would come and go depending on where their families were traveling to. But then the big shift was obviously like I went to college, and for me that was super exciting because I was like, oh, finally I get to like leave and become a new person, and also like reintroduce myself, reinvent myself to all these new people. And I feel like every time I make a new friend, this is a fresh start. They don't know who I am. So they can really see who I am.
Bodies I have in
exactly. All the people in my closet. I almost said my skeleton.
in the cellar.
All the people I have in my skeleton.
Exactly. They're in my skeleton right now.
My skeleton is comprised of all my friends.
Yes. But wait, can I make a comment about like the type of friendships that I prefer, that I feel like grow better? 101 friendships. I feel like a lot of people, they have like, especially girls, they have like groups of friends that they are really tight-knit, and I don't think I've ever had like a group of tight-knit like girlfriends or something. I'm always really good friends with like one person or two people at a time, and they're usually attached to like a friends group that's like I'm not super close with, but like I know them, but just not at the deepest level as like this person who like knows my deepest secrets. I know their deepest secrets. I know all the blood, sweat, and tears.
Why do you prefer that?
I just feel like when I get to know a person, I like to spend like one-on-one time. It's easier to open up. I feel like there's less, you don't have to, I guess, notice you're not aware of other people like judging you, or potentially someone else judging you, because it's like you just focus on that one person. And so I find myself really easily opening up to that person, and I think in return they like reciprocate that.
Got you.
And I just feel like we can connect on a deeper level much faster. But that just means that like when we hang out with a wider group of people, it's like we talk about more superficial stuff. We don't really get like into that deep conversation in
Yeah.
like a group of 5, but you can do that. But if you do that, it's kind of like
Yeah.
kumbaya moment, but it's usually around a campfire and it's like dark at
Yeah.
night. You know, we're having tea.
hear my soul, but you will not see my face.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way too. Like growing up, like even all throughout my life, it's just like I will make really close friends with one person or 2 people who have their own friend group, and they're usually like kind of the center of that friend group. So it's like whenever, I don't know, it just always felt good to have like that little like bit of exclusivity where it's like everyone wants to hang out with this one kid, and I'm like, I also want to hang out with this one kid, but he wants to hang out with me and not you guys. And so sometimes it's like I just be like, hey, you want to sneak away from the group and go like throw rocks at the I don't know, just like, throw rocks at people's cars. I don't know.
Damn, Sam.
Throw
know
rocks,
you
people
were
walking
like
there.
that.
Let's go throw rocks, people walking their dogs.
Oh gosh.
You know,
Jesus.
And I thought I had people in my skeleton.
Sam likes to throw rocks. Is that what you've been using me for? To throw rocks at people's dogs?
Yeah. But no, it's just always fun because then it's like sometimes I'll approach them and like we'll all hang out as a group, and you know we can do that superficial stuff, and we can do stuff that like I don't really care like I don't really care if I like mess anything up, or if like if I say something that offends like so and so, like some of the outer people in the
What
friend
stuff
group.
are you saying that's offensive, Sam?
Just incredibly no.
We're not going there.
No.
Smart man, he's learning things.
I picked up. I don't know. It's just like fun to be like, like I could just like say whatever I feel. It's kind of like whenever I go to a party nowadays, like sometimes we'll go to a party and I know there's a bunch of people that I really don't care about, and I know I'm never gonna see them again. And so sometimes I'll just go up and they'll be like, oh, hey, what's your name? And I'm like, oh, yeah, my name's Kenny. And they're like, oh, Kenny, nice. What do you do? And I'm like, you know me. I'm a retired Navy pilot.
Yep.
Just, got in, got out, and now I'm just chilling. And they're
So
like,
Sam just admitted he's a compulsive liar.
Sam has
Yes,
admitted
exactly.
that several times.
Exactly.
On this podcast. Several times.
Precisely. Maybe that was a lie.
Every time?
You never know.
Cool.
Still a compulsive
It's all
liar.
about the long game when you really think about it.
Exactly.
But no, it's just fun to be like the person that I am on the inside with my friend, and then like not care who I want to be whenever I'm around other people.
Yeah.
It's like I could be me, but then I could also just mess with them a little bit.
And see,
Fun little game.
the way I tend to make friends, I've always been group because I have a big family. So I've always been the type of person, like, get a group together. Like, I'm at my best, at my happiest, I'm most full, whatever I'm in a group setting. When I'm in a group setting, ideally not necessarily orchestrating, but just being able to be a part of the group, I am cooking. I am chill. I'm like, if I die here, I'm happy. I do enjoy one-on-one, but that will, like, eventually drain me, I think, after a period of time. But if I'm in a group, I'm like, that's how I prefer to like interact with the friends, because I love seeing like the dynamics and the crossovers and how they interact.
I'm
with
so
each other and
opposite
stuff like
because
that.
when there's a group and there's other people who are like able to talk to each other and crack the jokes, I sometimes, because I'm usually very talkative and I like to like jump in with a lot of stuff if I'm high energy. If I'm just a little bit low in energy, it's great when you're one-on-one because you kind of match each other's levels. But then when you're in a group and everyone's still high energy and you're lowering in energy, I tend to just kind of like fall back into a corner and let other
Yeah.
people do, and it can get a little overstimulating because it makes you
Yeah.
want to leave the group.
Yeah.
If I'm not at the same energy level, I feel like,
I feel that.
I should exit right now unless I'm matching
That's-
everyone's level.
Yeah.
I think I've learned what happened to me, I think, is like being in a family and just being around it all the time. It's like, oh, I'm tired, but they're all having a good time. I can go to sleep. They'll be fine. I'm comfortable here.
Yeah.
Like I'm like
I
they're
would feel
yelling
too
and screaming.
responsible for like the group's happiness for me to like leave, because oftentimes if I'm the one who put the group together, for example, and or like I orchestrated this kind of hangout and I leave, everyone else kind of has that connection through me, and like if I leave, a lot of people will end up just starting to leave too, and I would feel bad that everyone's leaving because I didn't want to hang.
I have seen that happen a few times, which kind of has bummed me out sometimes, because I'm like, oh, I got all my friends together. I'm like, what happens if I leave? Are they really friends? And they just kind of like, what are we doing here? How did we get here?
Yeah.
Who are you? Who are you?
It's like you just break
kinda,
the simulation.
walk back.
You're like,
I'm
whoa.
like, interesting.
All the Sims characters just go back home.
Yeah.
But my favorite thing ever is I've had like twice in the past where I've had two of my friends move in together, where I'm like, hey, you should meet my friend here, you should meet my friend, and they just were like, you want to be roommates? Josh and Hunter, they were roommates in Orlando for the longest time because I introduced them to each other. And it was like a crossover TV show, and it was amazing. I loved it so much. I just go over to their house, like, look, you're here, and then I'm like, what if I get my friends to start dating? And I had my other friend, Zach and this chick in college.
You're like
and
a
they got to the date.
matchmaker.
Exactly. And I did it for completely selfish reasons. And it almost never works out. But it's great for a time until they break up and then you can't be in the same room with either of them anymore.
Yes, that is a risk.
But we're still looking for...
Hello.
It's Pikachu. Alt Tech Cindy is touching my Pikachu plush without asking. So a segue question when it comes to like friends and dating, like when should you introduce the person you're interested in to your friends? And like is the person you're dating contingent upon how your friends receive them? Should that be contingent on how they receive them?
That's a good one.
Dang.
I feel
Go ahead. No, you.
I was gonna say I feel like with the timing thing, like how long should you wait before you introduce them to your friends? I feel like that varies wild. Yeah. Thank you.
It's a whole symphony. The dryer's now done, guys. That's how we're keeping time on this one.
The dryer's done and it has sung us a whole song.
Beautiful song.
2 choruses and a bridge.
Yeah. And a pre-chorus.
And an outro. Yeah. I feel like with the timing thing, it depends on who your partner is and how comfortable they are with other people. Because I feel like I've had some friends who are dating people and they're like, I can't introduce her to people. And then I feel like I've had friends who they're like on the first or second date, they're introducing them to other people. And I'm like, interesting. And I feel like that just kind of goes to like show the comfort level of the partner that they're dating. Because then it's like if they're stupid. Well, that too. Because like if their partner is
Cindy
like,
has stories.
Oh boy, if their partner is like super extroverted, I feel like they're more inclined to like be easier
to introduce to a group of people. That's totally fair. But I mean, so I met this one girl who like I was talking to her, and I'm like, she's extroverted, but I'm like, she is just not going to enjoy my friend group. Like I'm like, she's either gonna like judge the hell out of all of us. And not in like a valid way, just in a way of like, oh, you guys are all really weird. And I'm like, okay, well, either get with it or kick rocks, you know?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I judge who I'm gonna like date very strongly based off of how they would interact and mesh with my friend group. It comes from that group orientation of like friends. You had some thoughts, it looks like, Cindy.
Well, okay, so I feel like I'm in a weird spot just because when I started dating my husband, I mean, he's a homebody introvert and opposite of the type of friends that I have. My friends and I are usually really extroverted. We love going out and doing things, and I like to go home to someone who is like stable at home, like predictable schedule. So for me, whenever like if I was dating someone who is like really extroverted, they would probably end up meeting my friends faster because of the fact that like we just have similar interests. I wouldn't put we're out. Yeah, it's just more of like, you
want to go meet my friends? Just go meet my friends.
Yeah, it's an activity thing. It's like if my partner is really into events and so are my friends, I'll be like, oh, I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I could bring my partner to a friend's hangout. But when I was dating my husband, I kept it completely separate for a while. It wasn't like I was trying to be like, oh, I don't want you to meet him. It's more of like, oh, do you want to come like hang out in this setting? It was a slower integration because it wasn't like I wasn't serious about him. It was like my friends always knew that he was around and that's who I was hanging out with when I wasn't hanging out with them.
You were waiting, kind of?
No, I was just kind of like, well, I'm hanging out with my friends. I'm hanging out with my friends. I'm hanging out with my boyfriend. I'm hanging out with my boyfriend. Yeah. And if my boyfriend wants to do something that weekend, I'll be like, oh, I'm actually hanging out with my friends that weekend. Would you like to do the same thing? Yeah. And he would be like, yeah, sure. And I think that's just how it happened. I wasn't like let me introduce you to my boyfriend
the
formal thing.
It was more very of a homebody. It's like, so I want to be out. I'm gonna be out. So I'm not gonna make you come out.
It was just funny because it took so long that my friends were like, do you actually have a boyfriend? Or are you just saying?
Cool. You wouldn't know him.
You wouldn't know him.
No, literally, I was like, oh shit, like I think I really should bring him out to one of my hangouts because at that point he had not seen any of my friends and he knew all about all of them and they knew about him because as soon as I start even talking to someone, my friends all know. I don't keep that a secret at all. I'm not the type of person to be like, oh, you'll not know until like we're serious. No, like as soon as I talk to anyone I'm interested, I'm like, my God, so I'm talking to this new guy, blah, 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 blah.
Do you have any tips on people figuring out like when to or if it's a good idea or a bad idea or like what that looks like?
Honestly, if you're not comfortable, this is just my take though. If you're not comfortable introducing your partner to your friends because you're afraid your friends are going to say something bad about them or not like them, I feel like that's a red flag to begin with, because I've never been ashamed to show my partner to my friends. I will always say good things about my friends. I will always say good thing about my partner. And if I feel like I'm ashamed to bring my partner to a friend's because I feel like my partner would make me look bad or do something to offend my friends, I don't think that I would I wouldn't stay with them.
Right.
Because I feel like the qualities I see in my friends are similar qualities I want to have in a partner.
Yep.
Yo, I one rule I used to live by was like, you know, I don't know if I feel differently about this now, but it was like you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time around. And if you don't like who you are, then consider changing like who your friends are. Like don't change your friends. I mean, if they want to shift and adjust and like level up with you, that's fantastic. But like if you are like, I don't like who I am, then look at the 5 people you spend the most time with, and maybe you should change out those people. Which is not my necessarily favorite because it makes people feel really expendable. But like also what?
No, just the way you said it, it's like, yes, they're just tokens.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not. I don't really like that because it's like they're people. They're not just like. And you know, if you were ever on the receiving end of getting like swapped out or something like that, it can feel really, really, really awful. You know. Mm-hmm. But I think nonetheless, you knowing who you want to be, or at least figuring out who you want to be and what you really value outside of things like money and stuff like that. Your friendship should reflect that. I think you should have friends you admire for sure, whether you admire them for how funny they are. But like, if you want to go somewhere and your friends aren't reflective of where you're trying to go or who you want to be, you should like really reconsider and maybe have a conversation with them or maybe find new friends.
Yeah, I feel like it's really hard sometimes. Like I've definitely like made friends and met their friends and I couldn't get along with their friends. And I'm like, wait, why can't I find any form of connection? And I'm like, is this person, I overthink it. I'm like, is it because like we connect on similar things, or like they don't know this side of you, or that I don't know a side of them that they're clearly surrounding themselves with? And I'm just kind of like, wait. So usually those friendships actually don't last very long when I can't get along. The best friendships is like if I just met this person and they're like, hey, meet my other friends, and I get along with all of them. Dude, it's so easy.
That's like,
so easy.
Those are the people I love to have around, because it's like, oh, you're pretty great, and you meet their friends and they're all just as great. It's like, oh, I got the short end of the stick by knowing you. Your friends are way cooler than you. Like,
I think it's such a good thing though, because that means I never have to worry if like I'm going to an event, I want to bring one person, and they're like, oh, can I bring this other person? I don't care who this person is, because I know that because they're friends with you and I like you and I trust your judgment in people, then of course bring your friends over. I don't ever have to worry about that. The people that I do have to worry about don't end up becoming super close with me.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not going to bring, I literally, if you are causing trouble amongst the rest of my friends, then you are not going to get invited to as many things.
Exactly.
You're going to get invited and eventually will phase out unless you're making an effort to do better and learning. That's totally allowable. But if you're just like, no, I don't want that, then I'm like, I can't do anything about this. I'm going to adjust who I spend my time with and how I do it here.
Yeah.
Did you have something you want to say? You
have something you want to say?
You have the mic. Well, you have the mic close to his face.
Sam was just psyching us out. He's just like.
Exactly. See, you saw. I was like leaning in for it.
I've been stationary this whole time. Hand's been still. Mic's been still.
He's a master manipulator.
That's back-to-back podcast episodes. We had our friend Matt on the last episode. We found out Matt was like an expert gaslighter and had to whatever for his crimes. What is it? Appease. What is it called when you?
I know what you're talking about, but I don't know the word.
He had to basically
atone.
He had to atone for his sins and his crimes as a former gaslighter. And then he tried to gaslight us into thinking he wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
Wow, did it work?
No, because we remember.
We never forget.
Yeah. But so another question that somebody had was like, when it comes to relationships, how do you think your parents' relationship has affected the way you view relationships?
Oh,
I can go first if you want me to.
Go first.
My parents, I love them very dearly, and they're fantastic, and have taught me so much of everything I know, and have made such a crazy environment, so much of a good environment at home that it almost causes me to not care to be successful, because like I'm like, oh, I have all the love. That's the problem with self-actualization. That's the problem when you have your hierarchy of needs met, you stop trying in life, because like, oh, I have a happy family, I have all the love I need in my life, and then you become a cog in the wheel of capitalism instead of the driver of capitalism, Interesting.
Okay.
That's it, guys. That's satire.
Okay.
It's not entirely untrue.
Now let him cook.
No, legitimately, my parents are fantastic, and I have a very, very good home life, so I love Christmas. But no, like legitimately, also, they're saying their relationship, they're very much in love, and they're very much. I mean, like, I don't know if I'm gonna like. I would say like, oh, they just love each other so much. They love each other all the time. I've seen them argue and fight a whole lot, and it makes me laugh sometimes. And I've seen them sometimes like, do you guys even like each other? Like, do you guys actually even love each other? Like, really, really? But I don't think they ever really put on a front like, God, we're just so madly in love. I think a lot of times it was like, we're married to each other. We committed to doing this, so we're going to work to figure this thing out. And I think what I have seen is through the downs of like, I'd rather not be here with you right now, like for a year at a time saying that, to then seeing like the way they figure stuff out or work through things and are like, we're going to keep rocking with this. I like this guy. He's kind of actually kind of funny. He's kind of funny, you know? And I'm like, oh, interesting. So I've been able to take the ebb and flow of like someone in a committed relationship and not just be like, oh, they're just in love all the time. It's like, no, yeah, hey, maybe y'all should break up. Like, like I'm like, maybe y'all need to be doing this because I'm getting annoyed, you know?
Yeah.
But to still see them like stick it out or figure it out, I'm like, that's a choice you can definitely make. And I like that I've gotten to see that. And I think it's shown me that when it comes to relationships, again, I don't want anybody I can't build with because I have all my siblings and we have a very like warm home. And I'm like, I would want somebody who it feels like you feel like home to me.
Yeah.
You feel like somebody I want to just be around. Like I might hate you some days, but what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Like not figure this out? You know, like what are we gonna do? You know, and that's kind of how I approach looking for like the ideal relationship. I think.
Yeah, I think like I have parents who have shown me that they're like fighters and that marriage and partnership is very much a partnership. It's like you have to go through a ton together and through trials and tribulations, and at the end of the day, like a lot of it is just like making a lot of decisions and compromises that work for each other and for I guess like kids. So I don't have kids, none of us do.
No.
So it's kind of like,
well,
I don't so like
I had a goldfish once.
like I have pets, but that's not the same. And it's kind of just like
right.
always fight for the other person. I feel like I don't give up on my partner ever, even if they like make dumb decisions or whatever. It's like at some point, like I've been in a relationship for so long, it's been like 8 years, so at some point it kind of goes from like a romantic partner to a family member, which is weird because you're still sleeping with them, and so
that is weird, Cindy.
This is kind of a direct quote from like the comedian that I was watching. I don't remember her name, but she's this Japanese lady. She's really funny. But anyways,
Marie Kondo.
Huh?
Marie Kondo.
No. What? She's not a comedian.
She Japanese?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, she is. He's like, yeah, shit, I'm already canceled over that.
Baby.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
But I think like I also feel like from remembering the stuff that didn't work out between my parents, they're still married, they're still together, but like seeing all of the crap that they went through, I made a mental note of like, I'm not going to do that to my partner. I don't want to be that partner. Like my mom had, she's like a housewife and she was a mom. She gave up her career for my dad, and my dad was like the breadwinner, very traditional, classic. And I was like, I don't want that. I've seen how much stress that puts on my mom, and I saw that she kind of lost her identity and didn't know what to do after she essentially retired when her kids just went to college. And so she finished her job because she raised us until we were 18. Yeah. And afterwards, she's like, who am I? What do I do? And I got so worried for her, and I was like, oh my God, I don't want to lose myself. Yeah. Even if I do have kids and stuff, I don't want that to be me.
Has that delayed you from having kids?
I guess so, because I feel like I just want to have more like life before I have to like dedicate myself to another like human being. Yeah. So like I just feel like me and my sisters don't have kids yet. We are very much like just taking our time, focusing on career. It's also a generational thing too. Yeah, true. And so I learned from what they did that I didn't like, and I fight for my relationship. But I also communicate a lot better in my relationship than they did. So
you learned how to communicate from seeing the lack of communication in them, and also how to hold on to your own identity before, so that way you can have an identity after you go through the identity of just being a mom.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to just be dependent on like my husband at all. Like if I ever like separated or broke up with my husband, I should still be fine. Like I would be heartbroken, but like will I lose everything? No, absolutely not. I feel like a lot of people, they just mesh their lives in with their partner. They have no independence and they don't realize that because they're so comfortable.
How do you recommend people maintaining their own independence in a relationship?
I just did another story time about this, but I literally told people, you should just imagine, and this sounds really weird, but like imagine breaking up. Imagine not being with your partner. What scenario, what type of life would you visualize that would make you not only like not afraid of it, but be excited about it? Like what is a life that you can envision apart from your partner that makes you go, oh, like this would be a great life for me. I can imagine myself doing X, Y, and Z, traveling. It could be something that you feel like maybe you aren't doing at this moment. And then that's actually something that you should be actively pursuing while you're in your relationship. Outside of your relationship. So like I wanted to have more friend time, doing all these other things, going to events, and I felt like I couldn't do that because I was so heavily dependent on like spending all my time with my partner. And so I was like, oh, I don't like that feeling because yes, I love spending time with my partner, but do I really need to spend every waking second with him? No.
Dude.
My relationship also won't suffer if I did less of that.
I had this kind of thought or process earlier this morning. I'm like, I love traveling. I work to be in a spot where I can travel a lot, and I don't travel nearly as much as I want to. And I'm like, why not? I'm like, well, because I got to do this. I have this responsibility, that responsibility. It's like, you really, but like you kind of don't have to, like, you know. And in a similar way, not everybody can just pick up and travel. But it's kind of like, well, what things could you be developing on your own apart from your partner that helps you like be who you really want to be? And I mean that even for me, it's like apart from even my friends, because I'm like, oh, my friends got this, and this. I want to be here for this, and this. Like that's super great. But you, who are you, and what are you gonna do? And that's what I was checking myself on that this morning. Of like, I want to be there for my friends, and I'm also a friend of myself too. So what should I be doing for myself to make sure I maintain like this love towards myself? You know, what about you? What are your parents taught you?
Wow, forgot what the original question was. What about your parents' relationship?
What do you think your parents' relationship taught you about? How do you? Yes.
Yes.
It's always worth it to fix. Not always, but for the most part, it's always worth it to fix problems in your relationships with anyone, not just like your partner, like with friends. I feel like there's a lot of people that I know that like they run into one problem and they're like, oh, throw the whole friend away, you know, and it's like a minor thing. It's like, oh, they didn't, do the dishes or like take out the trash, something like that. And it's like, oh, all right, throw the whole relationship away.
Yeah. Oh, so they can't prove where they were on January 6th. Whatever.
Yeah. What? Yeah. I don't know. That's crazy. But yeah, it's like, it's always worth it to like work on things and like struggle through things a little bit if necessary and like just work on it to fix it and make it better,
Also, roommate problems are not marriage or relationship problems. If you live with a partner, you have to separate that. Like your relationship is not dependent on how well you live together.
So wait, what does that mean? Are you saying that like if you guys are having roommate problems, that maybe means you have a good relationship, but you just don't know how to live with somebody else?
Yes, there's a big difference because maybe your relationship is great and then you decide to move in together and you're all of a sudden like, oh my God, our relationship sucks. It's just part of the next step is figuring out, oh, it's probably, we're not communicating problem. Like there is roommate problems of like the living styles being different. Maybe you've lived by yourself for 25 years and all of a sudden you find a partner at 25 and you're like, oh, I want to like move in with them.
Maybe you don't need to break up necessarily. Maybe you need to figure out how to be a good roommate.
Yeah, but that doesn't reflect on how good your relationship is. It might reflect on like yourself.
Yeah.
How like you're unwilling to compromise on your living space, or maybe I just don't believe that there's like you have to do everything. You don't have to mesh everything together. Like, for example, a big thing is lots of people think that you have to have one room. Also, this depends on like your living situation and how much money you have and stuff like that. But a lot of people are like, oh my God, I have to give up my whole aesthetic when I move in with a boy. Or like, oh, like now the girl has to take over all the design and stuff like that. No, that's not the case. Like, yes, you have to find a compromise. But if, you are able to have another room, you guys can agree that one of those rooms is a man cave or a girl cave or whatever. And you can design it however you want. You can still have your own space and like not lose your identity. But like I said, it's like, there's a difference between roommate problems and relationship problems.
Not something I thought about, but that's very true. Also use ChatGPT to help you outline.
He's yawning again.
I'm not
She's
gonna
lying.
look at it.
She's
I don't wanna
lying.
Look at it. I don't want to see it. Every time Sam yawns, I'm like,
She's
he
trying to
doesn't care.
manipulate you.
Check the tapes. Roll back the
She's trying to
tapes.
gaslight
Every
you.
time Sam yawns, like he doesn't care. Sam hates us. He doesn't want to be here. So I just don't look at it anymore.
I don't like
Ma'am,
it.
do you think
Face.
your husband's cheating on you? I wouldn't want to know if he was. I think when it comes to just like tying this all together, like being a good friend, it's really hard to outline how to be. I think we know what a good friend is and not. Whenever it happens, like that's not a good friend. But whenever it's like how hard to outline what a good friend is, And I don't know how to like even summarize it in like a good. Like, I mean, being a good friend it's like whenever things happen to you, it's like that is clearly not what a good friend would do. But it's like to be just a good friend. It feels like being a good person. There's a lot of compassion. There's empathy. There's time spent together. But even if you're struggling amongst the midst of like having multiple friends, like how do you even balance that? Do you have any rules of thumbs you use for like
Rules of thumbs.
rules of
Rules of thumbs.
or
Thumbs.
rules of thumbs?
Rule of thumbs.
Oh, I see.
Rule of thumbs.
That's
I'm
a hard
illiterate.
one.
I didn't get that joke until right now.
It wasn't really a joke.
Yeah, it wasn't really a joke. I was just
damn.
struggling.
Now I just feel bad.
No, ha 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 ha. That's what being a good friend is, covering for their blunders. I mean, and exposing them right after.
I think good friends support each other.
Yeah.
They have compassion.
What does support look like?
Well, there's like emotional support. There's physical support. I would say if my friends call me up, and I tend to be this person, like one of my friends just recently got out of a relationship, and I'm the first one that they call, and they're like, I need like a night out, or I need you to come over, whatever. As soon as they sent me that text, I just became single. I picked up the phone immediately. Like they know that I'm going to prioritize them. I'm dropping everything.
Would you say like good friends prioritize each other?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Prioritize. And that's the thing. You don't have to prioritize like every single friend. That's why you have different levels of
Yeah.
friendship. You have, oh my God, this is going to get so philosophical, but you have friendships of proximity, like people who live close to you.
Orbits, if you will.
Yeah. And then there's also like just like friendships that you've developed based off like really
Going through stuff.
going through stuff, liking each other's personality. And there's so many different reasons why you have it. But I feel like just in general, a good friend is someone who will prioritize you. And I'll more than likely keep that person closer to me if they're reliable too. If I'm going through shit and I go, okay, this is the first person I'm going to call, and they let me down because they chose not to. Not because they're not here or going through shit themselves or whatever, but like, no matter what, like if they prioritize me, I'm going to be like, oh shit, that's a good friend.
It's kind of like presence.
Yeah.
Like friends are the people who are present. They hear you and they know about you. They care about you. And they also, if you are upset about not having, I was talking to somebody, but I'm like, if you're upset about people not doing this for you, are you doing this for other people? Are you organizing things to pull people together? Like, it's not everybody's forte, but kind of like, it's like, oh, people aren't inviting me to things. People aren't doing It's like, well, are you prioritizing them? Like, I was having a conversation with a friend about this. He was mentoring this other kid who's like, yeah, my friends are always doing stuff and I know they're going out without me and they're not doing stuff. I'm like, well, are you checking in on them? Are you calling them? And not this love bombing stuff. Man, I really want them to like me, but like genuinely, what do you value about them? What kind of chemistry do you have? Are you putting another person's well-being, mental health, the things they've said they care about? Like, do you know what your friends care about? Like, do you know what their dreams are, what their aspirations are? Like, I know Sam here wants to be a historian and a linguist, Your
face
yeah.
the pain. The pain.
And only a good friend would know that there's the complete opposite friend, the opposite things of what Sam would ever want in his life.
For a second, I thought you were still going with it. And I was like, and I love how he just keeps going.
The complete opposite.
And as a good friend, I'm going to do all I can to make sure he gets in the history books.
To make sure he learns. Because I asked this dude, I tried to tell this man, I said, do you know how Australia started? He's like, why would I care about how Australia started? I said, everybody knows how Australia started. Everyone knows where Australia, it's a penal colony. He said, why would I care about a penis colony? And I said, Sam, it's a penal colony. Like, they took the prisoners from England and shipped them down to Australia. He's like, why are you telling me this?
See? This isn't common knowledge. Not everybody knows about the penal colonies.
Cindy, Cindy, you just did a world culture series, Cindy.
I didn't get to. I didn't get to this part of history.
Australia.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. But I okay, it's okay. I didn't have to learn about everybody's history.
There's a lot of countries, all right?
Also, I'm sitting next to two compulsive liars. I don't know if you're telling the truth. Like, I don't want to go out to someone and be like, did you know about the penal code? They'd be like, what?
I don't know if you hit penis colonies in Australia, mate. What are you talking about? Anyways, Sam doesn't care for history. Apparently, neither does Cindy.
Sorry, not sorry. I care about current events.
What has history ever done for us?
Yeah.
But knowing things about your friends, I actually do a thing where I keep a list of all my friends' favorite things in my phone, under the not in the notes app, but under their contact. I keep a running note of things they say they love or they like, and it's actually kind of bad because when I moved to LA and my friendships got a little rockier, I realized I stopped doing that as much. I stopped like kind of listening to like when they'd say I love this or I love that. But I think for everybody I have, at least these two at least, I keep basically, I also know how to kill them if I ever need to. Like kind of like Batman has. It's like what is it called? He calls it something.
I don't know.
Batman has a thing where if he had to need to get rid of the Justice League, he could.
I'm terrified about this. There's a list of like allergens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Allergens, where she keeps her like important documents in her home, emergency contact numbers.
Phobias.
To like, yeah.
How to give her a heart attack.
Exactly, the phobias. I keep a list of that. But no, legitimately like knowing like, if I'm bad, we just talked about it earlier. I'm bad at remembering things. My brain doesn't like. I'm very creative. It's an empty field.
But
things
effort, because you're self-aware that you're bad at these things. So you're
do.
I'll make an effort for my friends that I care about.
Yes, I don't have one of those dockets on everybody. Just like my family and my friends that I really care about. But I think when it comes to being a good friend, making an effort, prioritizing, and being present are some things I think off rip is like that's what a good friend feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was gonna say like a good friend is like obviously like someone who would be there for you, and kind of basing or like bouncing off of what you were saying earlier, Cindy. I recently had a friend call me, and he lives on the East Coast, and I get a call at like 2 a.m. as I'm like crawling into bed. I turn off the lights, and I'm like, oh, I'm about to sleep so well tonight. And then I get a call from him, and I'm like, this is weird. It's 5:30 a.m. in his time. Why is he calling me? Because he normally sleeps at 10 p.m. his time. And I pick up the phone, and he's like, kind of crying. And he's like really going through it. And I'm like, oh, okay, hold on. Let me get out of bed. Give me a second real quick. Oh, yeah. And he was like, I called you because you were the only one that I know would answer. Oh. Like, one, because of, like, timing, like, nobody else is going to be awake.
You're the only one in the time zone that I knew would be awake.
I looked at my Apple Watch, and the sun was shining on your location, so...
To be fair, we do know a couple other people that would have been awake at that time, but they most likely would not have picked up the phone.
Doesn't it feel kind of nice, though, when you're, like, the person that has been chosen to, like... For them to entrust you with this vulnerable side of them, you're like, oh, damn, I make them feel safe. I'm a safe space for them, and that feels kind of freaking good.
Exactly. And I've had that before in the past, and like that's what made me realize this is what I want to be. Like I want to be like the dependable friend. I want to be like the reliable one. And so like whenever I had that, like back in like elementary, middle school, like whenever I like had that first realization of like this is what it feels like to be the dependable friend, and they know me as the dependable friend, and that's why they're coming to me because they know I'm reliable. That just made me like all the more want to be that friend even more. And so now, like, whenever I get into newer friendships, I'm like, what can I do to let them know that I'm here for them? Exactly.
Yeah, I've had really good friends before that have shown me, oh, this is like things that I would want to take away as like quality. So I almost like learn from my friends. Yeah, friends who you admire and like in any settings, like how they interact with other people socially. I'm like, oh, I wish I was a little more like this person. And some people might take that as like some people might be jealous of that person. I'm more of the type of person to be like, I want to learn. I'm gonna be like, oh, how did you do that?
And
how
you're
did
the
you
average of the 5 people you spend time around, so then you bring them in closer, or you spend time, and I'm sure if they admire you, you admire them, you both benefit and you grow together, and that's a cool part of friendship too.
Yeah, exactly. Learn from each other and stick up for each other. And I think one thing I found really valuable that I don't know who I learned this from, but I started implementing it. It was before your time, but
ooh, champ.
But like whenever, especially a friend's like confiding in you and they're going through a tough time, the first question I like to ask is, do you need support in terms of, do you need me to validate what you're feeling right now? Do you need me to bitch about that person, or do you just want to cry on my shoulder? Like, what do you need right now? Like, do you want to talk about this, or you just don't want to talk about it at all?
What do you need? That's a great question.
Because sometimes, especially with like my female friends, when they're going through it, they're going through like different stages of grief at that point. And so sometimes they just want to be mad and they want to dress up super sexy, go out and just like be eye candy and not talk about that guy. And then at the end of the night, they probably want to cry about it. But sometimes they're at the crying stage and they want to like tell me their feelings and they want someone just to sit there and validate how they feel. But you don't know that unless you ask them. And sometimes they don't know what they want.
But sometimes that's a thing too. You I know I grew up thinking in my family, oh, this is how you deal with people who are upset. You just say, hey, what's wrong? Stop crying. Here's a solution. But then getting around other people, it's like, oh no, you should probably just ask.
Because there's situations where you don't necessarily agree with what your friends did. You want to support them, but you're like, do they need logic or do they need emotional support right now? Because if they're like feeling like they just got rained on, even though they were the ones maybe that broke up with someone, and you're just kind of like,
how did they just move on from me? You broke up with them?
Yeah, exactly. And they're like, you told them to move on like a few months ago, and now you're the ones like upset about it. But in that moment, you feel like you can still be supportive. Like your friend just like lost someone special in their life. Even if they were the one who were pushing them away, they're still feeling that like sadness. And so your job is to be there for them while they're feeling that sadness. And then when they come to the conclusion of inevitably that they were the ones who kind of put this on themselves, then you can be like, yeah, you know what? You're right.
Dumb?
Like, it was a little dumb, right? But they're not ready to hear that at the time. I think timing, context, and being like emotionally sensitive to what's going on in the other person is very important. And that's where empathy comes in.
If you wonder why nobody confides in you, it might be because you never give them a chance to, or anytime they start, you're like, well, here's what you need to do.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, nobody likes that. If you're just telling them like, this is what you need to do, but unless the other person is the type of person who likes to receive that. But if I'm feeling really sad and I come to you and I'm not asking you for solutions, I'm just here to get a warm hug and to express myself. I would get so frustrated if you're like, this is what you need to do. You gotta
the simplicity of just letting people feel their feelings while you're around them. We talked about this the last time because I'm like as a guy, I think we tend to be like, solutions. Here you go. Yeah. Here's a solution. I think women, this is a very binary like perspective, but women tend to be a little bit more like, let me express just how I'm feeling. And you usually figure out what to do once you get to the bottom of those feelings. But I think there's still crossover because a lot of times like guys are just like, oh yeah, I guess what you need to do. And I'll just put the feelings away later. But sometimes as a guy, it's like, this is just what I'm feeling. Is that sane? Am I dumb? Am I crazy? Like, and get to the bottom of it. It's like, well, that's how you feel. Now what are you going to do? You know, like those are both appropriate. Sometimes it's like, let's just get to the solution. And sometimes it's like, what happened? Talk to me about it, Also,
like, I learned this from therapy, but sometimes when people are going through stuff and you don't know how to say things, sometimes your friend might have more experience in certain things than you do. And so when they're saying something and you've never gone through that, or you don't know what the right thing to say is, ask them questions. Because therapists, they don't always have to relate to what the hell you're going through, but they know to ask you questions for you to answer those things yourself. Because half the time you have the answer.
Not even half the time. It's almost like it's 80% of the time. You know what to do. You know how you feel.
Yeah.
I know me. I just need somebody to help me parse through what I have and ask those pointed
so
questions.
Asking questions as opposed to trying to give them solutions will help you feel less pressure as like the person who is helping that person go through a vulnerable time. Because after you're done listening, they're kind of looking at you like, say something. And you can't just be like, cool, shitty.
So you can just be like, dang, that sucks.
Yeah.
Oh well, see ya.
Yeah, it's like
yeah. I've had people confide in me and I'm not that close with them, so I don't know what type of reaction I should give. And like I could just give them like my normal reaction, but I don't want to like accidentally burn a bridge.
And here's some simple ones. We'll give this little tip. This is a free Ivy League tip on being a good friend whenever a friend wants to confide in you. What does that feel like to you? What was that like? That's a very simple question. Listening, whenever they tell you, you kind of hear like, it sounds like that felt like this. Very simple way to continue the conversation and show that you are understanding and listening. And then you let them respond if that's accurate or not. And then they will probably tell you more of how it feels and give you more clarification.
Repeating what they're saying back to them brings so much clarity because sometimes someone else saying it back to you, you're like you hear it and you're like, oh yeah, I don't like that at all.
Yeah, or it's like, it's more like this, and you still get more clarity, and that's kind of one of the purposes of like communicating, for the connection and the clarity and understanding.
And sometimes it makes it feel like it's less serious. And I remember distinctively, I one time went on a date, and I was like, before the date, I told my friend, oh my God, he made a reservation. And then I was like all hyped up about the fact that he made a reservation. And in my head, I'm like, oh, so sweet, such a wonderful gesture. And my friend straight up just roasted me. He's like, Cindy, The bar is on the floor.
It's a tripping hazard.
He made a reservation, and that's what you're giggling about. And I was like, you know what? Now that you've said it, I hear it. I hear it. And the bar is very much on the floor. It is below ground. It is buried 6 feet under. I need to pick it back up.
It's half the time it's stuff you think they should already know, but when you repeat it back to them, like I was on the phone with my friend, I was on the phone with Sarah, and she's like, maybe you should have. You're saying you need to have standards, and I'm like.
What?
Is that what they call that? Is that what that thing is? That makes a lot of sense.
But or the classic question, how do you feel about that?
Yeah.
How does that feel to you?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Like, what's that feel like? These are very simple questions that, it's like, or like, so what do you want to do about that? Or like, what do you think you're going to do? Or what do you want to do? Those are some simple questions that can help you not just for the sake of move the conversation forward so I can get out of here, but if you don't know what to say, very simple. How do you feel about that? What do you want to do?
What do you think is the right thing to do versus what do you actually want to do?
Yeah.
What's your heart tell you? What does your brain tell you?
You don't have to be the solutions guy. You can just be the partner explorer with the flashlight. And like, what was that like over there?
You're just like a little whiteboard for them to like, I was going to say like write down their ideas or bounce off ideas, but then I was like, whiteboards don't bounce.
No, well, it's a sounding board.
Sounding board. That's the board I was looking for. Thank you, Loners.
Yes, you're welcome. That's a new one, Loners.
I have the P.
Sam, anything you want to say close out?
Make some good friends.
Yeah.
Do it. It's good for you.
And learn how to become a better friend. And it's okay to ask for feedback sometimes. Sometimes if you feel like something's weird between you and your friend, ask them like, am I being a good friend and how can I become a better friend? It's not weird. It's not as weird as you think.
Yeah, it's really not. Like, feedback is how capitalism works, honestly. All businesses use feedback.
At the end of the day, friendship is just a business, and you have to win.
If you're not winning, if you're not first, you're last.
Exactly. And, sometimes you have to step on a couple friends to get up higher.
No,
Use people.
Guys, no more. End it.
Anybody who tells you the only thing that matter in life are relationships have clearly never made $1,000 before. Whenever I made my first $1 million, I quickly realized relationships are just for financial gain.
Goodbye. We're going to unplug.
Bye.
Bye.